The third thing that I want you to think about is what happens in such a world where through digital interactions between companies and customers, we actually collect more data. And when we look at the volume of data generated since the beginning of humanity, this has been growing exponentially, where more than 90% of data generated since the beginning of times was generated over the last 10 years. And this does not stop to grow. And one of the great things that we, jump to conclusions and we think, okay, this is amazing. The more data that we'll have from Sabine's teams or from our operations, from blockchain or from digital twins, the better decisions we will make. And this conclusion is most, of the times wrong. Why? Because it really depends on what we do with this data and how able are we to actually make better decisions based on them. Because I'd like you to think about the following situation. Imagine that you wake up not feeling well. You have some strange symptoms. You have some rashes on your skin. You don't know what it is, and you rush to your doctor, and you say, doctor, please, look at me, make a diagnosis. What do you think I have? And imagine a situation where your doctor says, Andrea, do not even take your shirt off. I don't need to watch your symptoms. I think that you have this, and that because you told me about it, so just take this medicine, go home. You'd feel frustrated. They will likely, give you the wrong prescription. You will have side effects. So you're thinking, why, Andrea, are you making such an example? It's because oftentimes in business, we're no different from this doctor. We prescribe something to our customers. It's not based on their symptoms. Oftentimes, it's based on our own symptoms, our own pain points. What are these symptoms? What are these pain points? Our objectives, our goals, our vision that we establish oftentimes internally without collaborating so much with the customer, but that in a world where the customer is every time more empowered, we cannot help but doing differently. And so whenever we look at that, we can think, okay, then why not sitting down with our customer and asking them what they want? And this does not work as well, because when Steve Jobs was about to launch their iPhone in 2006, he was doing focus groups. And he was asking people, which kind of smartphone would you love to have? And everyone was giving always the same answer. They were asking for bigger smartphones with a bigger keyword. And why? Keyboard. Who reminds of those years? Reminds that the leader was BlackBerry, and people were finding the keyboard at BlackBerry as being too little and hard to push and press. Nobody ever asked a smartphone that would have no keyboard. And so if Steve Jobs would have followed the advice of our customer, we would all have like huge devices that would not even fit in our pockets. And so asking our customer what do they want is not enough for us to understand what they need. Why? Because through big data, we have to anticipate their symptoms and understand better through predictive analysis what they might need without them even being able to express that. Why? Because if they're able to express that, it means we're getting there too late, because the whole market already knows, and we're just competing as usual with the other players. It's not making us innovative. And when we look at the health sector is changing dramatically thanks to that. Sensors, Internet of Things, hyperconnectivity on devices is actually changing the patient journey from one that is very reactive, that basically, provides your treatment based on your symptoms, to another one that through big data and through correlation of symptoms is much more proactive and reduces the chance of you having a terminal or chronic disease. And so this is thanks to all these technologies and all the big data, but it also asks us to be able to make different decisions than in the past. And so when we look at an example of that, we see that basically Philips and Delta Dental in the US partnered, and Philips as a hardware provider, they basically made an interconnected toothbrush. It basically measures how many times and for how long you brush your teeth every day, and sends this data to the Delta Dental, that is like an oral care provider, that is able to reduce the amount that you pay on an insurance based on a good behavior, and of course they will increase it based on bad behavior if you forget to brush your teeth. And this, of course, is an example of like of a B2C business. But when we look at also at B2B, and when we look at all the opportunities that we have of collecting data of our customers, and even of not only customers and consumers, we're able to predict much better and make better decisions if, though, as leaders, we're able not to use our success of the past as the starting point, but we're able to predict what the future will look like through the symptoms that we collect nowadays.